Welcome to the Alcohol Free Life podcast. I'm Janey Lee Grace. This is for you if you've quit the booze or you'd like to, or maybe you're just sober curious. I'll bring you tips and motivation without any judgment, and there'll be inspiration from experts, quit-lit authors, and sober heroes. Hi and welcome to the podcast. This is Janey Lee Grace. I hope you've had a great week. I've had a super busy week, actually, but I'm doing sort of regular stuff and, working at the BBC and all of that. Got to meet a couple of heroes this week. Actually, it was great. I got to meet Huey Lewis, who I've never met before, and what a lovely, fantastic, amazing guy. And also Tracy Thorn, and I've always been such a massive fan of everything but the girl, but I had never met her before. She's just lovely, done a lovely memoir. It was interesting. I mean, I'm not reading anything into this. It was funny because she was saying how terrified of everything she was when she was younger, and that she's talking about her diary. It's a book called Another Planet. She's talking about her growing up in suburbia in Hertfordshire, and she's saying that when she first formed a band, they said, well, can you sing? And she said, well, I think so, but not if anyone's watching me. So she did her first singing, standing in the wardrobe. But it all turned out good, didn't it? So I guess all of us can face our fears at some point. What's been going on in the Sober Club this week, we've had some really interesting discussions. Couple of things. One was about Lent and whether anyone still gives stuff up for Lent. And we had a whole conversation. A few people were going to give up the demon sugar or various things. Or, of course, if you still haven't ditched the booze, Lent is a great time to ditch the booze, have something to pin it onto. But we also got into a conversation about rather than actually giving up, food or drink, you can just give up stuff that isn't working for you. So negative beliefs or toxic friends or just feelings of regret. That's a great one to give up. So you can just kind of note down every day for the 40 days. Okay, I'm giving up. I'm not going to have these regrets. So when the thoughts come in, we can reframe them. And definitely limiting beliefs is a fantastic one. If you actually identify some of your own limiting beliefs and then ask yourself whether they're really true, because it's so fascinating. But most of us operate, well, obviously we do, on a whole bunch of beliefs that have been ingrained in us from a very early age. And of course we need them. We can't be having to reassess every single thing that we believe all the time, otherwise we'd never get anything done. But there are some things that we believe about ourselves that are not necessarily true. Belief is not a fact, but we try to create facts and we try to create a reality to support what it is we believe. And sometimes it can be just a fantastic idea just to bring some of those beliefs out into the open and have a look at them and say, well, is that really true? Or could I actually change that limiting belief? A classic one is around money, isn't it? So many people say, oh, I'm really bad with money. And then lo and behold, they'll kind of make sure that comes true for themselves by making sure they lose it or spend it instantly. It comes in or whatever. So I think it's something that we all do. We've got these stories that we run, and around alcohol is where so many people have got limiting beliefs that if we ditch the booze we won't be funny or interesting or confident, beliefs that without drink we won't be creative. I've done a few podcasts where we've picked up on that. Without the booze I won't be able to relax. Without the booze I'll have to face stuff I don't want to face. Well, that much is true, but you need to move on to the next bit, which is you'll also become much more resilient. So this is the week when I urge you to check out your own limiting beliefs. Just discover what they are. What is it what's the story that you run about yourself that's negative? And particularly if you are in the process of ditching the booze, or maybe you're moving on to something else now, then what are the beliefs that are holding you back? Because this stuff does hold us back. And sometimes it's just a case of tweaking it and reframing those thoughts. And the other fun thing that we've been doing in the Sober Club this week is talking about what we used to love when we were kids. I did a kind of Throwback Thursday post showing an old cassette Some of you will be too young to remember them. But, cassette tapes we used to make our own tapes. Those of us are old enough to remember that. And so we were just doing this fun piece about what do you remember that you used to love doing before you started drinking. Because we all know that once you got into your drinking career, for many of us, it kind of made our world smaller. But what did you love before it, and any of it ever kicked off? So that might mean for some people going back to childhood, and early teens. We had some fantastic things pop up, like, people who loved roller skating and ice skating and crochet and knitting and painting and singing and traveling and, goodness knows what, reading, all sorts of things. And it's amazing because people write this stuff down and then they kind of say to themselves, oh my God, I never do that anymore. And I loved it. And I was good at it, made my heart sing, as the expression goes. And often when you've ditched the booze, when you're free from that kind of debilitating thing that hangs over you like a cloud, you kind of free yourself up to go back and do some of these things that you had probably thought you would never do again, and yet you really enjoyed them. So we're in the process of trying to set up a roller disco for Sober Club members. I'll let you know if that happens. Somehow I think not, although I was really good at hula hooping, though I say so myself, and I haven't done that in years, and that's an easy fix, right? Just got to buy a hula hoop. Anyways, what do I want to tell you about? Well, I'll mention our retreats again. We've still got lots of tickets left, actually, so it would be amazing to see you. I'm a big believer that the right people will come along. So if that space is for you, our Sobriety Rocks retreat is July 31st at Inner Guidance in Suffolk. A totally amazing, wonderful place. We do yoga, meditation, relaxation, loads of sessions around manifesting what you want for your life. It's all very, very relatable, and you will feel very at home. We have a gong bath, we have a cacao ceremony, amazing gourmet vegan food. It's a wonderful space, so check it out. It's 31st of July to the 2nd of August. If you go to thesoberclub.com, click on events, you'll find it there. We also have a wellness break at Champneys. That's 13th, 14th of June. 13th, 14th June in Champneys in Tring. So if that's more your thing, come and find us there. That's quite an intensive one. We pack a lot in to kind of 24, 28 hours. And what else? Saturday, 11th of July. Don't have the link for payment yet, but it's going to be a super cool workshop afternoon in central London, in Bloomsbury. And we're going to do a whole bunch of stuff around manifesting what it is you want for your life. Nothing too cosmic. Everyone is welcome to this, but I really hope some of you will join us for that. We'll get that link out soon. I'm going to be working with Hello Love, who are also working with me on my Platinum Awards. Some of you know that I with my imperfectly natural hat on, with my hat on where I promote natural and organic products, I host the Platinum Awards every year, and we're just about to open up. So if you happen to also have an eco or natural brand, then check it out. But there's going to be an amazing pop-up shop where we have some of these natural and organic products in early September. So there's loads to look forward to. But I'm super excited about my guest this week. I was on Lee Davy's podcast a couple of weeks ago on the Strive podcast. And Lee is a guy that I've kind of known of on and off since I came into the sobriety sphere. And he's just great. He's really funny. He's got such an interesting background, which you're going to find out about. I love listening to some of his podcasts. They're just great. And I found this on Lee's website, which I thought I'd read to you. I thought it sums him up beautifully. He says, I love smashed avocado, smoothies with peanut butter, and anything sweet that doesn't have sugar. I believe sugar is a drug, and it's the hardest thing I've ever tried to quit. Talking about quitting things, I've quit smoking, drugs, drinking, brackets, alcohol, not water and stuff. That would be nuts. And I haven't quit nuts. End of brackets. I've quit gambling, pornography, animal products, and picking my nose and flicking it on the floor. I sleep on a futon on the floor. That's why the cockroach scared me. That refers to an earlier bit of writing. Futon rhymes with Zooton, and they're a great band, and so are Portishead, Duran Duran, Placebo, Muse, Left Field, and Max Richter. Bands play live. My first concert was James at the G-Mex in Manchester in the early 90s. Radiohead supported them, but nobody knew who they were. My favourite concert was Coldplay, because it was the first gig for my son Jude when he was 10. 10 is the age my parents moved me from England to Wales. I've lived in Wales for the majority of my life, with stints in Bristol and Southampton. Two of my best friends live in Southampton. I met them when I was a drinker, and like most of those friends, I don't see them anymore. He's a fascinating guy. I love Lee's work. Enjoy the podcast. So, Lee Davy, so great to talk to you, and really nice that you had me on your podcast, and now you're on mine. So that's what they call a nice swap, right?
Yeah, it's like we've never been apart.
Your story is really interesting because you were one of those people that started drinking very young, right? When you were a teenager. Yeah. I sometimes talk about this, the fact that, when people start really young and then they drink for years and years and years, you don't even know who you are. No. It's like, well, who actually am I? But take us back then and tell us a little bit about your story. You grew up in Wales, and I'm guessing alcohol was just what everyone did.
Yeah, I grew up in a little Welsh valley called Ogmore Vale. Not a lot of people there. It's an old mining town. Everybody as a kid just wanted to be grown up as quick as they could. And so, I didn't recognize it at the time, but I realize it now. Is you really are just looking at your adults around you subconsciously and thinking, okay, this is what I need to do in order to be an adult, right?
Yeah.
But whether that's handling a cup of hot tea on your own and being trusted to do that, or whether it's going to the bar to have your first pint with your dad. I was 14. I'd already dabbled a little bit around alcohol. We used to go camping up the mountain. We call it a mountain. It's a little hill. We'd sneak into our parents' garages and sheds and steal alcohol and go back up the tent and drink it. But yeah, my dad's made a setup in Tenby. He was on holiday there, and I remember going up and ordering my first pint and looking at my dad's face, and I saw this pride. And me and my dad never really connected other than that. He never told me love me, never hugged me, never kissed me, never spent time with me. But he would have me in the pub next to him, saying nothing to him while we both drank, and that was bliss for him, and because that was his life, Janey.
Interesting. And then when did it? I mean, just sort of fast forwarding a bit. Then you I think you worked for British Rail, didn't you, for a bit, and then when did the drinking kind of ramp up, or was it a long time, just kind of just the normal thing to do?
Once I got around the age of 16 to 18, when you could get into pubs and you could get into clubs, then we would drink it. It used to be we were drinking Fridays, Saturdays, But then I was playing senior football on a Sunday as a young nipper, and I didn't have any money. They would just take me into the pub with them afterwards, and I would drink with them. And I had a lot of grown-up friends, so I very escalated. My friends when I was 16 were in their mid-20s, because of my ability as a footballer. And then all of a sudden Thursdays became a thing. So you were out Thursday all the way. Sunday was always an all-dayer. So that is when it just went like that from 16 onwards. Yeah. And I think a real pivotal change in my life was when I got married, had a kid, and now you can't go to the pub as much because you've got this little thing. So what you do is you invite your friends around.
Drinking at home, yeah.
You start drinking at home, and then, how much you drink, your measures, everything goes out the window. The stop tap goes out the window. And I think from then, just drinking around the house made a real big change. And my marriage very quickly started to fall apart after 15 good years, and that was the time when I realized, hang on a minute, this is destroying my life. Yeah, everyone around me just thinks that it's normal. And I was very alone in my belief that actually, folks, this is not right. This is not right. Of course, I know now to tell an entire community of people that this isn't right.
Yeah.
They don't want that cognitive dissonance. They're going to defend their right to do what they love to do. And I was ostracized very, very quickly. I say they ostracized me. I probably ostracized myself, but.
So this was back in 2008. Was this?
It was around just after the world went to shit. Yeah, so it was around 2007, 2008. Yeah.
So what were your first, when you started to have this realization, and as you say, nobody else, you felt very alone in that. I guess you thought, well, there's only AA. Did you have any thoughts around, were you an alcoholic, in invert commas? Were those the first thoughts that you had in your mind, or did you kind of even back then know that this was something that you didn't have to be powerless, as it were?
I was very fortunate, actually, that when it's so, I'm such a different person now than I was back then, but my plan back then was, my wife has the issue. My wife has a real problem with alcohol, and I got to get her to stop. And if she stops, I don't have to drink. Does that sound familiar? If she stops, I don't have to drink, and our marriage will be wonderful. So I thought to myself, I spoke to her about it. She wasn't going to stop. There's no way. So then I'm like, okay, if I stop, maybe she'll stop. So it wasn't, I need to stop because I've got a problem. My marriage is falling apart because my wife's got a problem, right?
Okay.
But 8 years prior to that, I'd read Alan Carr's Easy Way to Stop Smoking permanently. And after really struggling to stop smoking, and with the catalyst of my now 18-year-old son being born, I read that book, and I haven't craved a single cigarette in 18 years. So you tell me, Janey, how nicotine addiction is one of the top 5 most addictive drugs in the world, right? I couldn't stop. I read a book, and then I never took a drag. So when I decided I'd stop to save our marriage and be this super duper hero, I knew Alan Carr had a book about alcohol. So I remember being in this bookshop, which is closed now. My ex-wife was going to Starbucks, right? It was like Booker's. She was in getting a drinks for us, and I was in Booker's with my little lad. And I picked this book up, and he said, "What's that, Dad?" And I said, "This is the book that's going to change our lives, boy."
Oh, wow.
And it was Alan Carr's Easy Way to Control Alcohol. And I didn't even finish it. I knew, because of 8 years earlier, I was done. I knew his philosophy. I knew his mindset. And that was it. I read that book. And for me, AA wasn't even in the picture. I actually, when I read the book, and I then immediately said to myself, right, holy cow, like, I have to save the world. Yeah. I identified as an alcoholic because I didn't have any other terminology for it. And I knew that it would shake people up, because everyone around me would be like, hang on a minute, if he's an alcoholic, what's going on here? But it didn't work out like that. I have a very negative view on that term, alcoholic, so I don't identify with it today. But back then I wrote about it. I said I'm an alcoholic. I came out, and and that's when I started helping people.
So just how did your sort of friends and people, who were around you, how did that shape up at that time? Because we know that that's one of the things that people fear the most, isn't it? That their friends are not going to accept them anymore. I'm guessing for guys, it can be really difficult if your kind of life has been based around going down the pub with your mates or whatever. I mean, I know you had a kid at this point, but nevertheless, there probably was some of that expectation on you. So, I mean, did you have to be particularly strong to kind of say, no, everything's changed?
I'm very lucky. Like, I'm a great believer that in life, when you're dealt really bad cards, really, really good stuff comes out of it. I really am. When I was younger, and I moved from Manchester to Wales at 10, half Chinese. So the only half Chinese English kid living in a Welsh school. The Welsh hate the English, right? I had so much grief. I got into so many fights that I developed this personality that exists today, where I had to really celebrate my difference. I had to be like, when I was in Manchester, it didn't matter that it was half Chinese. It didn't matter that it was English. I didn't identify I wasn't patriotic. But when I went to Wales, it was like, oh, you're going to call me an English bastard? Well, I'm going to show you that I'm really, really love being English. So that kind of upbringing and that scrappy attitude, when I decided that I wasn't going to drink alcohol, I didn't have any of the problems.
Made you determined.
Yeah, my current flock over at Strive, they all struggle with this. I remember we had a poker tournament in Nantymoyle Rugby Club. You know, you're talking like 40, 50 lads. I went in there. We usually go in a round of about 10 people. So you're drinking 10 pints. And then someone will go and then we'll do another round. So we'll have 20 pints. And then they're like, you know, are you in a round? They used to call me Ching. Are you in a round, Ching? I'd say, no, I'm not drinking. Well, today, what's the matter with you? No, I'm not drinking ever. Why aren't you drinking ever? To be honest with you, it's been screwing me marriage up. And I just told them because, you know, that's who I am. And then I remember everyone was like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, if anyone can do it, you can do it, they said to me, right? And then then the number of people who said to me, I wish I had the balls to do it. Yeah. But I couldn't because I don't think I could handle the changes. And what happened was everybody went away. Either I pushed them away or they left. They stopped calling. I stopped going out. And today, I was a very popular lad back then. I don't keep in contact with anybody.
But you find out who your real friends are, don't you? Really, you know, you the people who really mean something. I think I may have said this to you before, but I look back now and I realise how much time I actually wasted with people I really didn't like very much, and actually were really not very nice people either. And I was just wasting time because we were drinking.
I think that you hit the nail on the head when you said we're going through adolescence, so we're going through teenage, probably like the roughest period of your life, and you're just about to find out who you are, and then alcohol comes along and says, no, let's stick a mask on, and then you won't take it off for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
So what I found happened was I no longer wanted to be in the environments that my friends were hanging around in. And I didn't want to hang around with certain friends because all they were doing was drinking. And I realized that, you know, when I stopped drinking and started getting into meditation, started getting into mindfulness, started to get into self-development, these were conversations that when I was talking to my friends, they didn't really want to have. So I and a natural energy thing, which I don't understand, happened where I started to, and I'd walk into a health shop and there'd be a guy there and I would just be attracted to him, not like, you know, sexually. And we'd get talking and I'd be like, oh, can I have your number? And then he would be my new mate. And now suddenly we were meeting in a coffee shop to talk about life. Not meeting in a pub to talk about the size of women's breasts and who won the football the night before. It was just completely radically different. And my friends who were watching this, you know, you might be offended that I'm saying that, but you know, I love them dearly and they all have a good, but they haven't changed. I'll tell you this, Janey, right? I'm 45. I probably haven't spoken to hardly any of them for like 20 odd years. Recently, they added me to a WhatsApp group, football veterans WhatsApp group. You should have seen the slime and the smut and the conversation. It was like they were still 18. You know, they hadn't grown up. So I just left it.
Yeah. And so you're in the world of poker then. Tell us about that. That must have been fascinating. And very boozy, I'm guessing.
When I left, when I decided to stop drinking around 2008, I can't describe it. It was such a powerful thing, Janey, to look around and think, I am the only person I know in this world, except for my granddad, who was drunk and stopped. I knew a few people who'd never drank. Yeah, but I never knew anyone who had drunk and stopped. And I thought that was so powerful. And I'd read a book. So then I thought to myself, well, what if I read another book? And I put my hand up in my bed and it was this big tome, Jack Canfield's Success Principles.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic.
It'd been under there forever, you know. And he taught me that I could be or do whatever I wanted to be or do. So then I was like, what am I working on the railway for? It was 2007, 2008. I was sacking people left, right, and centre to cut costs because of the world economic crisis. I was getting death threats when I was on call. I had a woman chase me around a supermarket, slap me across the face because I made her husband redundant. It was a real bad time. And I was afraid to go into work. I wasn't enjoying it and nothing. And then when I looked at it, I was only doing it to pay the bills. And I was afraid of not being able to support my wife and my child. So I spoke to my wife one day and I just collapsed. I said, like, I can't do this anymore. She said, well, what's your plan? I said, okay, I'm going to take early retirement. That'll give us a year. And I want you to let me try to be a professional poker player, because I loved poker. It was like I was in my flow state. Nothing in the world mattered. Time didn't exist. The people I was hanging around, their sole focus was playing the game, not drinking alcohol. I had deeper, meaningful conversations with them about life while I was around the table. And it was something that I enjoyed. And I thought to myself, if I could do this forever, then I could create the time and the money to be able to create this business to help people quit alcohol, because that was always my meaning and purpose. Yeah. I looked at poker as being a vehicle to pay money to support my family until I could set it up. So yeah, I started to become a professional poker player. And
wow.
Yeah, one of the things I did is I wrote to 5 editors of poker magazines and said, I'm leaving the railway to be a professional poker player. How about I write a column for you? I thought they'd pay me thousands, you know. One of them said yes. And then I was like, oh shit, I don't know how to write. I didn't know how to write anything. So I quickly pieced something together using my old English writing skills. He loved it, gave me a column. Cut long story short, I actually became one of the most renowned poker writers, interviewers, and now I'm producing poker TV shows and poker content in the world. And I'd never interviewed or written anything in my life. I identified as a 20-year railwayman, and alcohol and being on that path of least resistance and that what I call zombification, where you're not thinking about anything. You just think, this is my life and that's it. I'm just living proof that you really can do. You really can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of the things I love most about sort of, you know, just watching people flourish and develop when they've ditched the booze and suddenly those, you know, the world opens up to you. It's absolutely amazing. Tell me about tell me your phrase that you say that alcohol is, well, you tell me the phrase, the invisible, tell me the phrase.
I have loads of I have so many phrases.
But tell me that one, the invisible belief system. Tell me what you mean by that. Right.
So I read Alan Carr's book and I stopped drinking alcohol, and then I say I want to save the world. I want to help everybody else, because think about it. You see your parents drinking and smoking and slowly dying, right? You see it happening, and you know that neither the cigarettes or the alcohol is providing them with any value. It is a delusion. And you can help them because you know this, but you don't know how to get to them. You don't know how to teach them, right? So my struggle was always, how do I get my knowledge in my head as somebody who, and I've overcome a lot of addictions, right? So how can I get that out of my head into a teachable format? And one day I was reading a book by Melanie Joy. It was called Why We Love Dogs, Eat Pigs and Wear Cows. And she described this hierarchy, this like this system of abuse called it eating meat, right? And she just questioned, how is it that we're able, let me give you an example of how this works, right? And it's a bit controversial. So right now in Australia, something like, I don't know, a billion animals or something have been killed due to the smoke and fire. So there's lots of stuff going around Instagram. We need to do something terrific. We've killed 1 billion animals. Yeah. And the vast majority of the people who are tweeting that are amongst people who kill 9 billion a week to eat them. Right? So that is a powerful belief system that exists in society that says it's perfectly okay to do that, right? And she coined this term carnism and called it an invisible, violent, and dominant belief system. And as I'm reading this book, I'm like, holy cow, pardon the pun, this is exactly what alcohol is. Yeah. Alcohol is like. Yeah. And I never had a word for it. So, you know, then I said to myself, well, I've got my word. The word is alcoholism. Alcoholism is not a state you get to if you drink too much alcohol. Alcoholism is an invisible, violent, and dominant belief system. It's violent because It kills 3.3 million people a year globally, which is more than war, murder, and terrorism combined. It's a causal factor, or one of the causal factors in over 200 illnesses and diseases. If you go down your town centre, wherever you live in the world, you cannot get into a pub without a big, heavy-set guy trying to stop you. What's he there for? If alcohol is such a wonderful social elixir, why do we need these people there, right? Accident emergency awards on Saturday night. So it's violent, right? It's dominant because the World Health Organization in 2014 said over 52% of people they questioned had tried alcohol. And if you look around your own inner circle, there's very few people who are not drinking it. So it's very dominant. And it's invisible because despite the carnage that this thing causes, it's the only drug in the world which we're actively encouraged to take. And we're ostracized and ridiculed if we don't. Yeah. What, if anything, if that is not a powerful belief system? So, at Strive, we call it the invisible, violent, dominant belief system. And there's a reason for it, Janey. Understanding the belief system that it exists, giving it a name, alcoholism. Now all of a sudden the cognitive dissonance starts to return that was there when we was a teenager. That says, I'm not sure I should drink this thing because it makes me puke up.
Yeah, exactly. We all had that at the beginning, didn't we? Yeah. So what's really interesting, I mean, and again, people who listen to the podcast will know that I've said this before, so apologies, but I'm still going to say it to you. I look back sometimes and I can't get my head around the fact that I'm quite a bright person, but I couldn't see this. And I suppose, as you say, it is invisible and it is dominant and it is what everyone does, including me. And I couldn't see it. So I guess that just underlines what you're saying, that the fact that it runs so deep and is so intrinsic, never mind how bright you are. But what's great, I suppose, is that more and more people are now starting to spread the word like you, because it is incredible that we don't look at it. It's the one thing. I mean, with me, I told you before, I was queen of health and well-being, for God's sake, with this going on, and with you, I guess it was a case of, well, that's what everyone does.
Well, it's one of our modules. We have quite an extensive module. It's changing. It was called the intensive, but we're changing now. It's just going to be called the Strive Sobriety System because we're changing our brand into 1000 Days Sober. But we have a module in there called institutionalism, where we talk about the belief system and how it is structured and how it's allowed to function. And it's because all of our major institutions not celebrate, but they promote drinking alcohol as being normal and pleasurable. So the National Health Service want you to drink moderately. The government wants you to drink moderately and mindfully and pushes the pressure onto you to do that. And like all of our health advocates, Bean Freaks is a local shop in Cardiff, for example. So that's where I'll go to get all my vegan, my organic, my vegetables, and organic wine. I mean, what the fuck is organic wine doing in there?
I know, exactly.
And so many people, like you said, they're really into health and nutrition. So then they're like, but I drink this stuff that kills people. We'll have to say that moderation is the key to everything. Right? And it's not, like you say, it's not intellect. There's a new evolutionary biologist from Australia called Jeremy Griffith. He wrote books called The Species of Denial and Freedom, based on the human condition. And and basically the human condition is, to cut a very long story short, how can Adolf Hitler kills, not Adolf, but Adolf's propaganda machine kills 17 million people outside of the war. Like he exterminated them outside of the war. How on earth can he get so many normal people to do that, right? That's the human condition. We're all capable of beauty and being Gandhi and Mother Teresa. We're all capable of being Adolf Hitler. And the reason he said that people struggle to accept that and to listen to that and understand that and agree with that, it's not intellect. It's to do with what's called the death effect. It's it's to do with our biology, like our like a bird always knows just to fly from A to B. It's this gene-based learning system. Well, because we have a neocortex, we have more of a learning-based kind of system that battles with the gene-based system. And that's what creates this cognitive dissonance. We don't want to fly from A to B. We want to stop off at a little island and try some coconut juice, right?
Yeah.
And that creates anarchy. And when we're teenagers, we want to drink because we want to be an adult, but at the same time, we drink it and we slept with someone we don't want to. We've missed an important date that we don't want to. We've got an hangover, we're puking everywhere. And the mind can't have one or the other. So you either stop drinking and you're very fortunate, very young, you say, I don't want any of this, or you end up saying to yourself, I'm going to drink. And if you drink, then the cognitive dissonance eventually goes away because you deafen yourself to everything around there. And this is how this belief system works is, if you look at all the marketing and the media and everything, everything is touches on connection. You know, if you want to connect and you want to be a part of a tribe, then you have to drink alcohol. So you suffer from this death effect yourself, everybody else does around you, and it's nothing to do with intellect. Like, nobody can see this. The only way you recover from a death effect is listening to our podcasts, continuously picking up material and reading it, talking about it. It's the only way you can do it with a hammer and chisel.
So you are aware, obviously, of the growing trend, you know, and I mean, we're told that millennials are drinking a lot less. Do you find that with people you interact with, that younger people are brighter than we were and waking up to this? Or do you think, sometimes I get confused, to be perfectly honest, because sometimes, you know, because of the work that I'm doing, I'm kind of entrenched in all of this all the time. So it can feel as though it's a much bigger movement than it actually is. And I go into work at Radio 2. It's just, no, nothing's changed. It's quite interesting.
I don't know where I am on this. I'm very fortunate that I exist in two worlds. I spend 6 months of my time in the UK with my 18-year-old son living in Cardiff, and I spend 6 months of my time living in Los Angeles with my 3-year-old daughter, right? So I get to see two completely different environments. My son is 18. He doesn't want to drink alcohol, right? He doesn't want to.
Why is that? What happened to him? Did he see you?
Because of his old man.
Okay, yeah. So is that because he's modelled your behaviour? Because therein lies another whole question, doesn't it? If you've got teenagers, if you do a complete "you must never do this" on them, the chances of them rebelling, if you like, are high, aren't they? So I'm guessing it's more a case of modelling the right behaviour and having the right conversations.
It's understanding, and this is a very, very controversial thing, but again, it's another module that we teach, right? It's understanding that we never had a choice to drink alcohol. We have to understand that we were designed from birth to drink alcohol, right? In the same way that most of us are designed from birth to eat meat. Like I'm a vegan. My daughter is 3 years of age. In Korean, beef is kogi. So we went for a walk the other day. I said, "What do you have for dinner today, love?" She said, "I had kogi." "Oh, good. Kogi's turkey," she said. "No, it's cow. You ate a cow. You know you ate a cow, right?" And she's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Are you okay eating cow?" She's like, "Moo. Yeah, I'll eat a cow." Like, "Would you eat that crow?" "Yeah, I'll eat a crow." Like, she's going to eat meat if that's what her parents do. Like, her mum eats meat, her grandparents do. So, and we're not going to talk to her at 3 years of age and start talking to her about veganism. She's curious about her dad, but we're not going to start talking to her at that young age about that kind of stuff. Similarly with alcohol and that, right? So what happens is, because you don't get to them young enough, because they're not really ready to do it yet, subconsciously, they're already making their decisions. Their personality and their character type and their beliefs and their values are shaped at a very, very early age. And it's really dependent on the parents. Now, my boy, he's got a mum, he's got a dad. His mum drinks still a lot, too much. And that causes a lot of anarchy in his life. His dad doesn't. I create anarchy in different ways by pestering him all the time to be better, right? And challenging him. But he looks up to me and he's like, "Whoa, hang on a minute. My dad doesn't drink." I don't think that he's uncool. I'm actually quite proud of my dad. When he's in and around my friends like him. When we play football, he's fitter than the other dads. I like it. He looks young. I like it. I don't want to drink. But he was on the phone to me pre-New Year's Eve in floods of tears. This is a real strong weightlifter bloke. In floods of tears, because his girlfriend drinks, his mum drinks, his friend drinks and take drugs, right? He's surrounded by it. And he's like, Dad, how can I not do this? If I don't do this, I'm going to lose my girlfriend. I'm going to lose my mum. I'm going to lose my friends. And do you know what I have to say to him? I have to say to him, Jude, yeah.
You're worth more than that.
That will happen. You're going to have to set boundaries up to your girlfriend and say, I don't want you drinking around me. And if you do, here are the consequences. We can't be together anymore, right? But I can't do that, Dad. You don't understand. No, son, I do understand, because your mum left me. You left me. Everybody left me. I understand, but I'm telling you, son, if you be brave right now, if you make the right decision and separate yourself from the herd, if you become that black sheep, you will go on to be something special. If you remain in that flock, you will find it very, very difficult. This is now the time where you need to burst out of it. Here in LA, I'm in a Korean family. They don't really drink that much, right? So the kids are not around it. So they're not really, you're not really subjected to it. So they're not drinking. These kids on this side of the family, like 14, 15, they don't touch it, they don't think about it. We were having sex at that age. We were like getting drunk at that age. Like, so in Wales, when I'm around in Cardiff and stuff, I don't see it changing. I don't see anybody drinking less, right? I do think things like the vegan movement, the plant-based movement that's going on at the moment, the whole social media, wanting to look good for all the wrong reasons, is going to have some impact on it for sure. But the main work for me is dealing with the people who are now in their 40s, 50s, 60s, who don't know how to even live, because they've drank for so long. You know,
exactly.
The kids have left, and now they're in a relationship with some guy they can't even stand. Like, what do I do? How do I get out of this?
Absolutely. I mean, relationships is such a big one, isn't it? I mean, a lot of people, you know, I've done some podcasts touching on this, but there's a lot of people that have never had sober sex, ever.
No,
ever.
I was
it's
one
like,
of
what
them.
the hell? What the hell? I mean, how terrifying.
Yeah, I was
what
one
a
of
thing.
them.
What a thing.
Have you seen the Johann Hari TED Talk where he says
I have,
the opposite of addiction is connection.
Yeah.
Well, we go one further than on Strive. We say, okay, what's beneath connection? It's communication.
Yeah.
So relationships and the answer to all of these atrocities that go on in the world, and all of these hierarchies, all of these dominant versus non-dominant systems that apply pressure on you. Alcoholism is one, racism is another, sexism is another. It's all because we can't communicate properly. So one of the key things we do over at 1000 Days Sober is we work on improving our relationship with ourselves and improving our relationships with the people that we love, like our kids, and also the people we work with and our acquaintances. Super, super important.
Absolutely. So I like the idea of 1000 Days Sober. What's your view on the sort of the the challenges that people suggest that we do, that most people recommend that to start with, at least? Because I mean, the truth is, for many of us, me included, when I first sort of had this realization, it forever felt too long. So I felt as though I had to just start with something, Right. So what's your view on the dry January and sober October and the 1 month? I'm guessing you're going to say, well, it ain't enough, which is why you're saying 1000 days is, you're not going to do 1000 days and then go back, right? I mean, have you ever met anyone who's actually regrets ditching the booze?
I've never met anyone who ever regrets stopping drinking. No, ever. I have a very, I'm in a minority of one in the world in this opinion, but it's at the heart of our philosophy. So look, I gave up drinking because I read a book that said Alan Carr's Easy Way to Control Alcohol. Okay. So he hoodwinked me, marketing style, into believe, not me because I wanted to give up, but millions and millions of people picked up that book because he promised to help them to control their alcohol intake. And then you get in the middle of the book. Sorry, spoilers here. If you turn off now, if you haven't read his book, but he gets to the middle of the book and he says the only way you can control alcohol is to never drink again, right? So I get that, and I stopped drinking, right? So I understand it. Annie Grace's book, Control Alcohol. All right. It's because the market out there, if you want to reach as many people as you can, the market out there.
Yeah, you soften it. You soften it
right,
effectively,
because,
don't you?
Because the people who want to give up drinking forever, you can fit them in his one hand. And the people who are sober curious is
of course.
Right. So drive your marketing there. Right. I don't want to compete with those people. Right. Because it goes against my philosophy. And here it is, right? The alcoholism is an invisible, violent, dominant belief system. It exists because of many different factors. We talked a little bit about institutionalism, for example. Another one is absurdity. So people make drinking alcohol absurd. Wine o'clock memes everywhere. I was stabbed when I was 18 in Cyprus and nearly died. And I turned that into a joke for me to get up. So there's the absurdity side of it. But the other side of it is moderation. Well, think about it. If the world believes that alcohol is normal and pleasurable and that you can drink a powerful drug, it's one of the top 5 most addictive drugs in the world if you Google it. We've already said it kills more people than war, terrorism, and murder combined, folks, right? Yet we promote it as being normal and pleasurable. Why wouldn't my daughter want to drink it? Why wouldn't my son want to drink it? So for me, everybody out there promoting control your drinking, drink moderately, drink mindfully, which is a new one now, which is doing my head in. All you're doing is you're saying to people it's okay to drink alcohol, right? I'm saying it's not. It's not okay in any stretch of the imagination.
You remind me of when I went to something at my one of my kids' schools, and they were saying it was a conversation around alcohol awareness for teenagers, and they were saying, do we feel that it's okay to give kids just a little glass of wine with dinner at 14, 12, 13, 14, to get them used to it? And I couldn't stop myself. I had to say, well, would you give them just a little bit of heroin to get them used to it?
There was one. There was one. Did you hear Russell Brand? Russell Brand was interviewing Brené Brown.
I missed that one. I love Russell. I absolutely love Russell.
And Russell had boundary issues with his daughter. He's got a daughter around my kid's age. And Brené said to him, it's around sweets. So every time she wants sweets, Russell says, you can't have any, can't have any, can't have any. And she looks at him with a doughy eye, and then he gives her the sweets, right? Brené said to him, imagine she's 16 years of age. She's in the back seat of a car with some bloke, and the bloke's trying to touch her all over. He's trying to and she just gives in. That's you giving her sweets. Now, your role as an adult now, as a parent, is to create strong boundaries so she can see, oh, this is what strong boundaries are like. The reason we drink alcohol is because we are boundary-less. We have no understanding what a boundary is because our parents never taught us, right? So I was at my family's house for New Year's the other day. They busted out the champagne, very unusual. They poured all the champagne for the adults, and there's a boy there. He's 20, I think he is now, 19, 20. You can't drink until you're 21 in America. And he looked at his dad.
Yeah, very sensible.
And he looked at his dad, and his dad went, go on then, and he drank champagne. Boundaries. You're just saying it is okay, not to him, just him, but every other child in that room who is looking up. And now they're saying to themselves subconsciously, because it's all about status, right? They're looking up and they're saying to themselves, oh yeah, I want to have that champagne because I can't have it now. And if I have it, look at my brother. He's like now with the adults, right? So for me, it's about boundaries. There's no way that you should moderate. I get it. I understand it. If we're using the metric of trying to reduce the amount of alcohol we drink worldwide, then attacking the sober curious really makes sense if that's the metric. I get it. It's like Tobias Leonhardt, who wrote a book called How to Create a Vegan World, for example. He said you're much better off working with reducetarians than vegans. Vegans are more likely to draw negative attention, but those who say I'm not going to eat meat on a day,
meat-free Mondays,
they're going to save more animals' lives than vegans do. So I get it, but for me personally, my own integrity, my own morals, my philosophy around how I help people quit alcohol, basically, you ask any striver who's been with me for a number of years, should they moderately drink? And they'll turn around and say to you, what's the point in that?
Yeah.
Like alcohol provides me with zero value. So why would I moderately drink a poison that destroys me, that provides me with no value?
It can take a while for people to get to that point, though, can't it? I mean, in my group, there's been some people who, decided they weren't going to drink and were doing really well. And then something happens in their life, and shit does still happen, amazingly, when you get sober. That's the way it rolls. And then they allow, as I call it, the wine witch to come in and knock them for six. And then the thought is always, well, I've got it now. I've got this crack now. I can just have one. That's always the thought. I can just have one. I don't know anyone who goes, actually, you know what? I've tried that kind of sober thing. I'm going to go back to boozing. It's always just, no, I can just have one. It's a party. It's whatever. I just have the one. But of course, it never is the one. And then they're back in the group the next day, and the sense of shame and guilt and agony. But the good bit that comes out of that is usually, oh my God, now I really know.
Well, very often at Strive, we hear one commonly, and it's I wanted to test if everything I've learned is true. But at Strive, like we when people join, like we have a good chat about what we're about. We're a little family, right? And we're very intimate, and we have a lot of rules. And one of the rules is, that we are allowed to point each other's blind spots out. We are allowed to call each other out because we know it comes from a place of loving kindness. So when someone turns around and says, I just wanted one to see if this system works, we're like, bullshit. You wanted one because you really wanted to drink alcohol. Let's be honest. Like, you really wanted to drink alcohol. And then why did you? Like, where is the value? Exactly. I think where we as change agents can do a better job is most of our systems and most of our programs are action orientated. And there is a lot of people who are not ready to take action yet. So at 1000 Days Sober, for example, part of that 1000 days, before you even go to day one, before you get to day one, you're going to be working with me for 2 to 3 months to see if you're even ready to get to day one. So I'm hoping by the time you get to day one, you're already on day, you might not be on day 90, but of those 90 days, you've drunk 6 or 7 times, right? What an incredible change from where you were when you were lightly drinking every day. Yeah. So I think those who are like considering whether or not they want to stop drinking, we need to help them out and to give them some really good solid questions. But yeah, very often, if you get someone who's not ready and you thrust them in the middle of our kind of like Strive sobriety system, they're just gonna keep relapsing all the time. The other important thing is understanding and accepting that relapsing, or whatever word anybody wants to apply to it, is a perfectly natural kind of like part of the system. Like, I'm a very angry man, right? Like, my goal at the moment is to be less angry, to be more mindful, to be a better husband, to be a better wife. I still lose my shit, right? But what I do then, what I'm getting better at, is saying to my wife quicker than that, oh, I'm so sorry, like, but you cannot unscramble all these years of brainwashing and this personality, not just one personality type, but we've all got like 5 or 6. Yeah. Like, it takes time. So time, patience, like compassion, acceptance. Like, I know I'm sounding like Brené Brown here, right? But if you want to learn about addiction, I mean, that lady kind of nails it. Her books are amazing.
Totally. I read something she said today, actually, about assume that everyone that you meet or everyone that you encounter is doing the best they can. God, that's amazing, because actually we don't, do we? If somebody doesn't get back to us, we immediately think, the bastard, clearly hasn't got time for me, and most of us assume that people are a pain in the ass, whereas she's saying, assume that everyone's doing the best they can. But I tell you, it is true, when you do ditch the booze, you definitely become
kinder, over time. I suppose it is the awareness. And if more people, if a lot more people weren't drinking, it'd be a much kinder world, wouldn't it?
Do you know what? Do you know what it is? I think what I've seen in Strive is people become aware that they're a victim of an oppressive system.
Yeah.
And then because they realize that they are being oppressed, nobody wants to be oppressed. They then develop this compassion, not just for alcoholism, but they start to look around and they start to think, wow, women are oppressed. Like a big one for me that we work on in Strive is being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Is putting our hand up and saying, do you know what? I run a patriarchal household. I believe that the man is the breadwinner, is the boss, is the alpha male. I shout at my wife. I expect my dinner to be on my table. I shout at the kids. I expect my wife to look after my kids. Like we have to put our hands up and say, that's what happens. And then we say, how did that happen? And then we think about and we learn about belief systems. And then we're like, how can we now be different? What do we want our life to be different? And because we don't drink anymore, now we can see these different oppressive systems. And then we're like, holy cow, I don't want to be that guy. Like, there's a reason my wife left me. And it wasn't because we were both drinking all the time. It's because I was a dick. I was a dick who couldn't communicate. And I used alcohol as an excuse. Alcohol is just a symptom. Alcoholism is a symptom to a lot of other stuff that's going on in your lives. I always say, Janey, there are 3 reasons that you drink alcohol. There's a fundamental let's go backwards. There's secondary reasons. I love the taste of a nice drink of wine when I'm eating my steak, right? There's a primary reason, which is often linked to some traumatic event that happened in your life. And trauma doesn't have to be, I was sexually abused when I was 3 years of age. It could be something as simple as I moved from Manchester to Wales.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
And then there's the fundamental reason that we all drink alcohol, and that's because we're all victims of alcoholism's invisible, violent, and dominant belief system. If it didn't exist, alcohol would be heroin. It would be no different to a Class A drug.
You must absolutely rail against the whole advertising, scene that is just. That never stops, does it? It just never stops. It must drive you absolutely potty.
It's got to the point now where it is gone beyond the joke. So I watch shows on Netflix like anybody else, but I watch shows differently. I watch shows with my pen and paper out.
Placement of alcohol.
Back in the day, it's very common that Jack Daniels and the likes, they would pay for product placement. And today we see very lazy product placement with Apple, cars. The new James Bond movie will have some car advertisements, right? All laptops have got Apple on stuff. What the alcohol industry, I've got no evidence here of this, but what the alcohol industry seems to be doing now, I can see, is there's a lot of drinking alcohol in every scene for no reason. Now I had what was his name? Can't remember his name. I had an actor on my podcast recently, and I asked him about this because he's in Hollywood, and he says part of it is that is life. That's real life.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Are you sure it's that it's advertising, not just that they want to reflect what they assume everyone's doing?
Yeah, he's saying it's but then you've got Batman pouring himself a whiskey and giving it to Wonder Woman. And I'm like, hang on a minute.
Are you going to fly after that?
What? How are you going to save the world after that? Are they really incorporating alcohol in? Like, are they to prove that Bruce Wayne is human?
Yeah. I was really pissed off in The Greatest Showman, which I just loved. I loved that movie. I really loved it because I thought the music was sensational. A lot of musicals, the music is shit. And in this one, it wasn't. The music was unbelievable, and I saw it about 4 times. I went with my kids. But what the hell is that drinking scene? I mean, really, it's just
I haven't seen
have you not seen it? Oh God, no. And there's a whole scene, a very important, triumphant scene, which is only about drinking.
Yeah, it's
with a kind of cast of thousands in a bar and drinks flying along, and it's like. And that film is, so many kids watch that film.
Yeah.
And the message you come away with is, that's what you do when things are going your way and you've just struck a great deal in
Look
Circus.
at Aquaman, right? Aquaman. The guy comes out of the ocean. There's a slow mo. This is our kids watching this. There's a slow motion. He's got a bottle of whiskey in his mouth and he's throwing it away and he's telling everyone, "I'm a superhero. I'm an alcoholic, and it's cool.
Yeah.
And look at me. I'm ripped. I'm gorgeous. It's so bad." But the worst thing is, Jamie, about advertisements, it's human beings. Human beings are walking, talking billboards. I had somebody who recently relapsed on Strive. She's a teacher. And do you know how she relapsed? Her student gave her a bottle of wine as a present. Now, I can't believe I just said it with that passion, because I used to give my kid wine to give to his teachers.
Yeah.
It's
a little, actually, in my little group, somebody just had an amazing victory of that, actually, because there was a little primary school where they were having like a raffle or whatever, and they were asked, the kids were asked to, or the parents were asked to send in raffle prizes, and so you've got these little 4 or 5 year olds walking to school all carrying booze, and she actually kicked up a fuss, bless her heart, and they stopped it. They asked, "Isn't that amazing?" It's very good for her. They actually said, "Okay, we'd love you to bring raffle prizes, no alcohol." I mean, yes, but it takes someone to be very brave and point it out, doesn't it?
We said to this striver when we was talking to her, what could we have done differently? And obviously the thing is to tell the child that, "Thanks for the gift, but I don't drink alcohol."
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
and even that, then that shows you, oh, my teacher doesn't drink alcohol, and it can open a debate.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. Going back to the advertising thing, just to round it up, because I think it's really important.
Sure.
We talked earlier on about intellect and people not seeing. How can people not see that we drink? And I said about Jeremy Griffiths' death effect. So many people who are listening to this who are just kind of new and are not sober curious, are still drinking and then started drinking it. They might not even see this advertisement. They might watch the Greatest Showman and not even see that drinking scene. They might watch Aquaman and the Justice League and not see that they're drinking alcohol.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, because of the death effect, they just don't notice it. They just don't notice it. It's so ubiquitous. They won't notice it. It's only when you stop or you get more curious about it that you think, "Holy cow, I've just flown to Barcelona with my face in front of a gin advert for the last hour." Like, it's crazy.
Totally. Well, we could talk for hours. Clearly.
Well, I certainly can.
Well, I can too. So we'll have to have a challenge one day. So just remind us where people can find out about the work that you do and the 1000-day thingy. You just caught us at a transition, so it's a really good time. www.1000dayssober.com. That's 1000. You will find us there. We're in the middle of changing the website, so just be aware of that. And you can inquire and learn about our program, the Strive Sobriety System, and our support network. We're on Instagram, 1000 Days Sober. We're on YouTube, and we have the Alcohol Addiction podcast, which you can stick it in any podcast player and you'll find it then. And in the next couple of weeks, you'll find the fabulous Janey Lee Grace on there walking on about something or other. Brilliant. Excellent stuff. Lee Davy, thank you so much. We'll have to do this again. I'm sure there's lots more we can chat about.
Well, I am, I'll be in London in a couple of months. I'll seek you out.
Yeah, let's do something. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Worries. Cheers. So I hope we get to meet, because we could chat all day, I'm guessing. Lee Davy, check out his fantastic work at 1000 Days Sober. You'll find that on Instagram now. So just a reminder then that my little challenge to you is to look at your own self-limiting beliefs. Pick one, write it down and challenge it and see if it's still true for you, or whether you could actually reframe it. If you've always been saying forever and a day, "Oh, I'm not a morning person, I can't get up in the morning," spin it on its head and say, well, what if I could get up in the morning? What if I could actually set the alarm earlier, put it away from the bed so you have to get out to turn it off, and then go brush your teeth, because then you won't want to go back to bed after that. What if I could? I mean, it's worth a shot, right? Some of these limiting beliefs that just hold us back, it's just worth having a go at shifting them. Depending on when you're listening to this, I might see some of you at the Live Well Now Festival on Saturday. I'm part of a panel with
Laura from Club Soda, and Millie from Sober Girl Society. I think Scott is there, the boy who drank too much, and Stephanie Chivers, who is an addiction specialist. There's a bunch of people, so it's going to be great fun. I think it's 1:45. It's a kind of panel event at Live Well Now, which is at Old Bishopsgate in London. So some of you might make it there. Come and say hi if you do. Don't forget those retreats and various bits and bobs if you go to thesoberclub.com and click on events. If you'd like one of the free PDFs, we've got one about just called Sobriety Rocks, which is about self-care and sobriety. I've got another one on toxic-free beauty or toxin-free beauty. Something I'm really passionate about is what you put on your skin. So I know it's a whole other topic, but there's a little PDF there if you want to grab yourself that for free. And 5 reasons to do an alcohol-free challenge as well if you want to sign up and get that. It is a great time. I mean, it's always a good time, but why not now? It's as good a time as any. I don't know if you saw Denise Welch. She did a lovely piece on TV earlier this week about sobriety, flying the flag. It's a really great piece with some sober heroes on there. So yes, I look forward to talking to you same time next week. We've got some amazing guests coming up on the podcast. Let me think who I've got coming up. London artist Sharon, that's going to be really good. We're talking about creativity. I mentioned that earlier. So many people think that ditch the booze and all of a sudden you lose your creativity, and actually the opposite is completely true. Don't forget that exercise I gave you as well. Write down what you used to love doing as a kid and see if you want to bring some of it back into your life. See you next week. Thank you for listening to the Alcohol Free Life podcast with Janey Lee Grace. Please subscribe to us on iTunes, rate us, share on social media, and tune in again.